What's up, everybody? Back in action. We are live here at tradecaster.com. Always a pleasure to be here in the morning. I am your host with the most. I'm just kidding. I'm just the guy here. I am watching these levels closely for the open. Seems like our overnight volatility has settled in. You know, we didn't have the same kind of sell-off that we had last week. I kind of threw this up here overnight to kind of see where price would react. Clearly rotated back off that and into VWAP. So I would like to see, since we have this choppy accumulation type action, our strategy may work out well on this, right? We've ground up from that overnight low, right? We had that pump up late on Friday, kind of sold off. We pumped open and then sold off right into the overnight low. And we've kind of just been grinding bid back up all the way up from basically 7:30 on, or 5:30 on, I should say, in this bit of a rising wedge type deal here, right? You can see pretty much holding this support level. Not that I'm going to be playing that too much. It's pretty much going to be VWAP that's acting as support. So if we can get ourselves up over that 700 level, I think that's a good key area for price to kind of bounce up to, try and trap some longs and see if we can get in there, right? Like I say, if we have this kind of action here, if we break down first, that could be trappy, so just be careful. I don't know if that's going to be a trustworthy pattern, right, to kind of take that immediate breakdown. I want to see this thing rotate up, clear out our highs, clean up the overnight inventory, get up over 700, trap some longs in there, and then once you fade that long, rotate back through overnight highs, try to come back to VWAP and beyond. I do think 544 is a good number as well. So let's see how much of this we can catch if it does start to fall and get heavy. If I can do a good job of trailing out, I will do that. But just to kind of note that this is what we're looking at here. Maybe pushes into VWAP first, then comes back. All relative, all possible. Just be ready for anything when it comes to the markets. NVIDIA is going to be opening, I guess, gapped up over yesterday's high, Friday's high, where it's trying to 106.61. So that could push us up initially, which is kind of weird because it's not. It's kind of diverging a little bit from that number there. We have our push right into VWAP there. That's kind of nice. 2 minutes to open. So we're doing the movement before markets open here, this push into VWAP, which is kind of interesting to me to note that that's getting heavy so quickly. I don't see anything that's very large on the order book currently. You did see decent size get filled here, 59, 60s, all the way up to 61, 63. It's interesting that it's kind of melting off right away. No number that should be released right there. Even anything that's coming out is nonsense. Financial juice giving you a bit of August 9th. Fed fund rate is the same. Overnight financing, 5.34, 5.34. So it's all the same stuff. So this could be that trappy action that we look for, right? If this is just going to go before the market even opens, then what are we going to do? We're not going to be able to enter that, right? So just get yourself in a position to react, understand what the price action you're looking for is, and just go from there. That was pretty heavy, pretty trappy there. I would like to see it bounce off VWAP, come back up, get up over that 700 level, and then push us back down, right? This could be a really good opportunity now that they've swept into those shorts. I would like that to be up. Let's see, what's the high on this candle here? The high of that candle is 92.50, so this is 92.25. Let's get that up more tick. I like my levels to be pretty precise. I want to see what we can get going out of this. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. Markets are about to open here. Let's get it going, get it started, make ourselves some money. 2 seconds, 1 second left, and we are now open, and we are sitting at VWAP. I think we can get a bounce off of VWAP here. You rotate through this support, get up into that overnight high. I could take my shorts from there. Until that point, I will be just sitting on my hands because, although I like the way this looks and the way it's setting up, it's not part of my thing. Overnight low for me is down here. 18,515 is the overnight low. 626 is not high. It's too high. 626 is maybe it's the low from just like pre-market, I guess. But 18,515 is that low. That yellow line very down, all the way down here, Scrooge, is the overnight low. 626 is just the low of the, appears to be the low of this candle here. Not sure where you got 626 for the low of the day, the overnight low. It's too far away for me to have on the screen right away. There's that push up, right? Like I said, it's a trap down here right beforehand. Our opening range is a little bit wide. This is going to be here. This is the opening range. That's interesting. That's where it's showing your. I would refresh your charts. What's that gap there? What time is that? A 1 minute chart? Because you're missing out on all of this earlier. My overnight levels I draw up from right when the market opens at 1700, and then from 1700 on, I'll use those levels as overnight low. So you're using the level basically from from here. This is, I guess you're considering it after midnight. I don't know really where else you got it. That's just a recent level. It is a strong structure level. It's bouncing off a VWAP at that point. But for the most part, for me, I use the overnight low from 1700. Mm-hmm. Gotcha. I'm be seeing that. Alrighty, Carlos, I drew up the gold for you in there in the weekly write-up. So if you are interested in the gold analysis, take a look at that. NVIDIA pumped right up into that 107.80 level right there. You can see that's the high pre-market from Thursday. If NVIDIA can catch resistance anywhere in that range, we can potentially start to sell off from there. If not, I will watch this to start to shoot to the upside, which is interesting because this is not relatively as strong as that, right? It's a little weaker than that. So we are showing a little bit of weakness in the equities indexes compared to the NVIDIA trade. Apple, Microsoft. Don't see anything that's really relatively heavy compared to that. Meta, Amazon. Meta's selling off. Amazon's selling off. Meta and Amazon both pulling back. NVIDIA is pushing higher. I need this to get up over that overnight high and then start to get that relative weakness to kind of follow through. Maybe NVIDIA kind of catches a bit of a seller here up at 108, 109. 108.50 to 109.50, somewhere in that range. I could possibly get that. Yeah, that gap shouldn't even be there either, so it's weird. You might need to refresh your charts or something. So I've noticed that sometimes where there's some gappiness within the charts, you just got to refresh them. Not getting any follow through to this upside to get involved in this short idea here. Let's see, like that would be a really nice trap, right? For me, if they're going to scoop up some shorts, they're going to scoop them up over each stop right here above the previous day high, above the overnight high. Break through 700, rotate back down. If you're new to the channel, this is what I'm looking for. I'm looking to see if I can get through these levels here, fail up over a key psychological 700 number, either give me some sort of rising wedge here where I can then play the breakdown through the overnight high, start to trail into the previous day high and hope that previous day high can break and we rotate back down. Normally through VWAP is my main number one target, and beyond that we hope for the bottom to fall out, but we just take our trail quick as price moves in our direction, and we just do that every single day as best we can around key levels, right? I'm looking for failed breakouts, especially this week up until Wednesday. We're not getting any data, and real good data. CPI, PPI we have tomorrow, that's month over month. It's not really going to be like the main driver. I think you're going to get that movement Wednesday, CPI with the inflation numbers. Everybody's going to be watching that. So I'm going to anticipate not huge directionality, especially after last week's, we melted off, recovered, and basically went nowhere with the week once you finished up the week, right? So I would just expect failed breakouts. I would expect range-bound type movements. If we could stay between the 700 and 544, we could really make some good trade ideas here between 700 and 544. I would like to get up over that, to give us the opportunity to make a good execution here, but we are failing to break that level. And with the NVIDIA strength, you would expect this price to have pushed up at least a little bit, and it hasn't. So the weakness is showing its hand a little bit earlier than I would like. The breakdown of this opening range could lead to some really heavy selling, but I don't want to take that break until I truly get a little bit more of a trap, because this does look trappy, but it's not big enough, right? It's not getting into my levels VWAP is still holding. This market could just run up 100 points fast. So I don't want to get running in front of that if I don't have to. The boot camp today started over at tradecaster.com. If you got into it, you should get an email. If you're waiting to get in, message Deck or message the chat. He should be starting around 9 o'clock for his beginning portions of the boot camp. So if you still want to get involved, there's still a little bit of time. You just got to get into a 6-month membership or better. It is 6-month membership. So if you use my code for 10% off, I think it's like 7 and change. Yeah. He doesn't do futures or anything like that. So I understand why everybody's here in this room for the futures and stuff. So we'll see what goes on here. I appreciate everybody still coming by day in and day out. Like I said here, we're kind of just being patient really early in this week. Anticipate more of a sort of trappy behavior, I think, for some of this. If it's just going to melt off here and go, I don't have that. I don't have this right now in my toolbox as far as this being an A+ setup. The best thing I can do is just sit and wait and be patient. Allow price to tell me what it wants to do, and then make my decisions from there. This overnight low is interesting to me. If we can get down into there, that's below that 544, should hold support of 500, and either direction. I think if we get to break either way, I think it will fail. If we never touch my levels, yes, there's opportunity there in between for maybe some setups, but that means to me that there's not real A+ executions to be had because the market doesn't really want to get out of the areas that it's in. It could indicate a very choppy sideways day, right? So the reason I use my levels a lot of the times is because they are reactive, right? Overnight highs, overnight lows, previous days highs and lows. Those are reactive levels because that's where people have been interested in doing things. But if we don't get to them, that kind of indicates choppiness to me, right? And I don't want to be in sideways action. If this does melt off and rotate down, yes, that's not quite choppy, but it is an area where you would want to not get crazy, making decisions in between zones, right? Because that's where you start to chop. That's where I chop myself up, right? If you have this play here, then you're already up 40 points on it. If you did just take that fail break of the opening range high and break down to the opening range low, like I'm not taking it purely based on my discipline at the moment, just trying to continuously work on that discipline, make sure that we're not executing on subpar strategies, right? Because this could be trappy, even though, right, it broke 40 points, 30 something points, it could still be trappy. So I don't get involved in between zones. If the S&Ps can get all the way down to 53, 52, that's a buy zone, right? Should drag us down into here. NVIDIA is still relatively strong, so could start to hold us up. But these indexes being relatively weak, if NVIDIA does start to sell off at all, then you will get follow through to the downside on both of these. It's just a matter of timing it correctly, right? This idea here where I mentioned you're going to probably trap lower, sweep highs to get stops, and then run down. That's the thought process here, right? Where you have this set up, you kind of trap below here, you get shorts to get involved, they pop their stops over previous day high, overnight high, and then I think my stream stopped. No? Are we good? Are we good? We're good. Okay. I get weird notifications. So if you get that trap there, stop over this previous day high, which is where mainly a lot of stops will be run, overnight highs and 700. You would expect a lot of stop orders to be here for sellers to kind of want to accumulate all that and then melt it off. So if this is what that is, then I'm going to be patient on it. If it's not what it is, if it's just a straight selling position, then we're going to see that as well. Financial juice giving us and market open on imbalance was negative 20 million. Everything else had positive side. Mag 7 minus 15 million. Let's see what we get going. 600, obviously key psychological level there. Nice round number. Could run some entries. There is a 50 lot sitting at 600, 50, 53, 54, 55. There it goes. It got filled. Ran right to it. Filled it. So there's that heaviness. Unfortunately, we never got up over that previous day high for me to attempt a short at it. Any of these levels, when we open so close to these levels, the overnight highs, the overnight lows, previous day highs and lows, you really want to see those get tagged for that manipulation, trying to accumulate some orders before a big sell comes in. And then on the other end, like I said, that overnight low as well, you want to see that same type of behavior. Now that NVIDIA is selling over with that relative weakness, like I said, NVIDIA started selling. You can see the NVIDIA giving up that 107.71 level, rotating down with the NQ and S&P showing relative weakness when the NVIDIA trade was pushing higher, that you see that this was leading downside. If there was that selling to continue, then that push to the downside was probably going to be stronger, right? So that's where you got that push down when NVIDIA started to sell, because this was not pushing up in any sort of the way that it needed to in order to get going. So like I said, there you can see all this chop, all this support right here around that 600 number. I would not be surprised if this wick here ends up being an area where it starts to rotate and then chop and bounce around. If not, if it just continues to be heavy, we're going to eyeball that overnight low, look for our setup down there at the overnight lows, and see if the S&Ps will bounce us off 53.52 as well. If you're on YouTube, hit the like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Head over to tradecaster.com, create a membership, be part of the conversation. I focus a lot on that chat. So if I do get a message in YouTube and I don't get to you right away, just understand that I'm kind of bouncing from screen to screen. I will eventually get to your question and or comment. Let's see what's going on with the other Mag 7 names. Microsoft selling through 406, down into 404. Could look to get support at 403.62. I'm going to show you what I'm looking at here so I could at least give you the analysis there. You can see a lot of this sideways chop breaking down through that pre-market, late Friday trade. Could bounce down here at 403.62. Meta was selling before. It is pushing down below some of that Friday support, but it is holding at the moment. Amazon also looking for support down here. So I want to see this get to that overnight low. NVIDIA, right, you can see selling into that 106.24 would be kind of an interesting area. If we can get down into here, maybe down into that 105.02. If not, rotate back over 107.71 and up we go, through these highs, 108, 109, and up to 111. Let me go back to this chart so we can see that there. Absolutely, Charlie. Anytime. Looking at the gold analysis for GC1. Boom. So, last night I wrote up that gold analysis. We were stuck in that range at 24.56 being support. It acted as support again at 1:30 in the morning, pushed up into 24.74, rejected it twice, 3 times. There you go, Charlie. All the levels kind of acting reactive. Once you broke through that 24.74 here at 2 a.m., now you're starting to push. I did talk about this being more bullish with the risk-off sentiment coming into play, right? With the uncertainty of everything and with the sell-off last week and the extreme fear, a lot of what you're going to see is safe haven flows, and gold is a safe haven flow. A store of value. People want to get into gold. They want to get into silver. They want to get into platinum. They want to get into precious metals. They want to have some diversification in their portfolio. Last week there was more panic, so things kind of sold off and got out of the market altogether just from that, that yen stuff and a couple other little things. So that's why you had that big pump down. As markets started to rally, you can see gold didn't quite sell off as much. And then even into the weekend, you got a little bit more of a push back up, kind of indicating that the indexes may want to go down because the flight is to safe havens right now. So just understand that that's the dynamic of the gold, silver kind of safe haven flow. US dollar strength probably coming in as well. I don't know, USD. What's it doing against the JPY? Dollar was strengthening up until pretty much a couple minutes ago, and now it's rotating downside a little bit. Nvidia is still short, pushing back towards that 106.24 level. I like that gold as a indicator of kind of where we're going as well. So pushed right into that 544 level. There it is, 544. So my analysis here was rotate previous day high to 544. Unfortunately, I never got an entry, but if you took an entry here, you could have banked pretty easily on this short sell. I mean, you're trailing out with targets of 544 being pretty precise right there. So I want to see now if we can get below and into the overnight low, kind of just trap some of that down there and then rotate back over 544, get those overnight highs tagged. You did see that we got right up into that 53.52 for the S&Ps. This is a very reactive level, right where we're at. 544 could possibly act as the support now for the other end. That is in the write-up, so just notate that as well. So if you have a different type of strategy than me, right, you could have possibly had really good, clean moves here for your, we failed to break once, twice, rotated down. Once you fail that VWAP and the opening range low, the clean move to 544 and potentially the overnight lows was a nice 100-point move there. So you could have caught 100 points pretty cleanly over the last 15 minutes or so. I do anticipate overnight lows getting flushed, maybe a bounce off of them. If we can get NVIDIA to bounce off 106 quarters, 500 would be my real good downside, 500 to 515, which is this overnight low. That would be my interest of a long area. I want this to get there. If it doesn't, I can't execute. We are being disciplined to our strategy. If we're not going to touch off on any of these levels, then so be it. But you could see S&P is now getting heavy. Let's see if it gets down into 44 itself, 344. That's an area to look for. If this S&P bounces from here and just continues to rotate up, then we may never get to our level of the overnight low on the NQ. You can see relative strength in the cumulative delta, right? We made new lows in price. Cumulative delta did not come back and make new lows, so this could be an indication of a change of direction right here. We do have some orders below, so hopefully we can get that one more flush and kind of keep going. Small caps are doing poorly as well, so Russell is at support, so do mind that. So if Russell starts to bounce here, we could get that kind of confluence of bounces. Sometimes they diverge, sometimes they act together. Right now you can see with that delta divergence, that lower band of VWAP, I don't know if we actually get to our overnight low. Once again, just kind of, for me, being patient, allowing my setup to come in. Do I have opportunities to make money front running some of these things and using these longer term levels? Absolutely. Maybe using 544 to my advantage here, and the bounce of the overnight low on S&Ps could have gave me the indication to rotate up. If not, if this is going to trap and go lower, then we're good. We could still wait. We could be patient for it. NVIDIA is still trying to push back up to 107.71. So all of that being said, the 544 level, again, I'm going to keep hammering home until that level doesn't matter anymore. It's pretty important, right? Also, this overnight low level, you can see how important it was. Even previous day overnight low, Thursday into Friday, you could see it was reactive, that level here. Obviously reactive on the open. We have just a lot of good information there from that level. 544 was right. I mean, really the low, the breakout point right here from, let's see what time that was. That was breakout 12 o'clock on Friday. So my only other thought on this, for me personally, maybe this gets that trap, right? There's that wedge. You push up, you get longs involved, have them set their stops below low of the day. You sweep low of the day, you sweep overnight low, so you can get more sellers to buy from, to push up. and then rotate out of that. That's my other thought process on it, giving it more time to get that overnight level swept. That's why I don't really front run levels. Although, like I said, with our strategy and with quick trailing scalping rules in play here, you break this wedge, you pop 20 points, you can take 20 points all day. Every 20-point move, you should be able to at least secure profits or break even on 20 points in the NQ. And with these movements that it does, time and time again, you should be able to have some good opportunities to do that. So I want to see it sweep this overnight low. The potential for it to go all the way down, I'm less interested in that thought. I don't believe it's going to get that heavy that quickly. I do think rotational until Wednesday does come into play. If it does get directional to the sell side, there is still extreme fear in the markets. So you may get a seller that comes in here and pushes us downside and looks for that CPI print on Wednesday to be lower in the market, so that when that print comes and if it does beat or come in line, that they have tons of ammo to be buying down more at the 13,004s. 18,004s down into 18,277s. If they can be down in that range come Wednesday, that's where they may want to be bidding this back up. We are, a failure of 500 fails the upper end of this bearish channel that we've been in since that previous CPI high. So could push us down to that 400. That's my only thought on that, as far as if that level gives up, right? 500 would be that area where that band of upper band, I would call it, at the upper end of the channel, right? You can see we're acting as support at 544. If 544 gives up, there's this kind of wedge pattern here that's giving up as well. Also gives up for 500, which is the upper band of that channel. You can see how reactive it was here. Potentially, does it bounce from there, which is what I would love, right? I want to get down into there and bounce up off of that and get new highs, up and sweep 700 without getting trailed out. That'd be fantastic. But if you see it here, right, if you accept down, could roll to 4, and then if 4 gives up, that's that gap. Then you get down to 277. So right now we are just kind of creating this little bit of a wedging, higher low, 60% long. S&P's is relatively weak compared, right? It is getting to its overnight lows. We are not there yet in the NQ. With the NVIDIA name going straight upside once again through 107.70 and into 108-ish, and NQ still showing relative weakness, I think the next leg down in NVIDIA pushes us to our overnight levels, and we can definitely start to look for that long if 500 can hold. If 500 fails and starts to continue to flush down, I am not playing a continuation. I am a mean reversion, failed breakdown kind of trader here, and that's what I'm trying to stick to. I did mention that, maybe if you were a little aggressive and you wanted to short the opening range low, you could catch a pretty nice move, and you were able to catch pretty much 100 points in less than 15 minutes. So that was a really nice short here below. The failure of VWAP really kind of accelerated that to the downside. So, if we don't ever get to our level, then so be it. It is what it is for me. I'm just going to continue to be patient and allow my discipline to carry me forward. As always, don't do dumb shit. As always. DDDS. For me, doing dumb shit would be to be operating in this middle of nowhere range, right? When I start to do more around areas where there's not as many interesting areas for me, any levels, I should say, I tend to chop myself up, right? All right, so we are pushing downside. There it is, right into that lower band of VWAP. S&P's is trying to give up that overnight low. Maybe if we can sweep this 53.50, we can get our NQs to get involved. 500 would be the level I'm interested in. The bounce. NVIDIA did make a lower high. I don't know if it's going to be a trap or if it's going to rotate all the way down to 400. But if we do get our opportunity, if we start to fail the overnight low down into 500, fail 500, rotate back up, and that's when I get my momentum in, right? I don't try to catch falling knives. I don't limit in right here because, you know, if an overnight level gives up, a lot of times you get a really heavy, super heavy and selling induction if it's a key level, right? You would get limited in and stopped out pretty quick. You know, I want to see failed breakdowns, so I like to see the other end of the V. I like to enter on this side of it right there so I can catch this to the upside. That's my thoughts on it. Get down through the overnight low for me. There we go. Very nice. See, Delta is getting a little heavy. Let's see if we see anything on the order books here down at 500. I don't have anything, right? I can't see 500 right now. It's still a little far off from it. Did we touch it? We didn't touch the overnight low, but 544 once again holding, looking like it wants to be that level. It wants to be that guy. Could potentially, if it doesn't get to 40, you know, if it gets back through 44 and the S&P starts to give up, then maybe I'll take the long through 44 by using the S&Ps as the failed break. Come on down, get through, get magnet to that 500 level. Still nothing on the book at down lower. I mean, a little bit here, 20 lots. Sitting below that lower band of VWAP, kind of right on it. It wants that 44 level to hold. Come on, tag off 500. The S&Ps could be the vehicle for today for the failed breakdown. But I want to see if NVIDIA is going to start to rotate again. It's all about timing in this game. And I think the timing is not there yet. You have the confluence now, overnight low. I think overnight low needs to get tagged in the NQ for this to start to rotate back. Because you're starting to get this pattern now, which is great, fantastic. I want to see this start to give me this wedge. If it can wedge all the way in and give you that, you know, capitulatory bottom here into 500, then rotate out quick. That gives me the confidence to enter into this thing and see if that's going to be the bottom and rotate out of it. If NVIDIA can kind of hold where it is right now and then start to rotate back over 107 once we get into this trade, could ignite us to the upside. And that's what I really want to see. I want to see this sweep here. I want to get through this low. And I mean, if I don't get my level, then I don't get my level. It's fine. 44, as I mentioned, could be it. We do have this kind of forming here. Bids here hit 20s, 44 gave up and then held again. Swept the lows, holding that lower band of VWAP. Could have been the low there, potentially, based on the way that those bigger lots got filled just slightly. Could buy the S&Ps as that, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to wait for my key level to break. You got 1, 2, 3, wick failures of that. Maybe you get one more leg down, sweep it, get my overnight low involved, and then we can move ourselves to the high side. NVIDIA still getting heavy-ish, kind of dancing around that 107 level. If we could bust through 107 to the downside, and NVIDIA potentially gives us that one more wick, that one more leg down to this overnight low here, and then we can run up. But it is a zone, so technically, if you are in micros, you could build into this, 2 at a time around that 44, risking down to 500. So that is something that I would be interested in. But this is kind of the area where we were sold off into, danced around it, and then popped off of. So that is, if we don't get to this overnight low, then it's all right. But I'm not going to enter. Just good to note that kind of stuff, right? This is very, very nice. I like this kind of winding up. Unfortunately, it's not low enough. So if we can wind up a little lower, it'd be great. That'd be great. Get a little bit more depth in this. want this to sweep this, because I didn't get it at the high, right? I didn't get a chance to get it at the high, and I didn't get to the low yet. So we are still very much inside, and there's the push in the ES. NVIDIA is starting to push up a little bit, getting pushed back down. It's tightened up a whole lot. So NVIDIA super tight in its range currently right here. You can see NVIDIA right there, very, very tight in this wedge pattern that it's got going. If NVIDIA breaks these levels, then I would anticipate 107 kind of giving you a heavy flush. Now on the other end of it, if this gives up to the high side, then potentially like I would be looking for 109 and 110 without much issue. So that's why I want this to be a little lower first. I want this to get, maybe fail 107, get us down one more time, sweep that low. I'm going to not get involved on both ends of these trades, and it's going to be frustrating with the levels. You can see S&P is respecting that pretty nicely. I did say that I thought about using the S&P as the trading vehicle for the failure of 44, rotating back up, and you could have been in the money and have not taken any sort of pressure on this whatsoever. If you risked, to the low of the day, you could have been even at least currently, from 53.52 up to 53.60 already. That's 8 points in the S&Ps, $50 a point, right? Ish. My timing is, I really want explosive moves, failed breakdowns. This to me is trappy behavior, not to me conducive to actually executing quite yet. Like I said, I really want to see that capitulatory bottom for a rotation. If we just get this kind of grinding, rotating back out, then I don't have an entry. And I did mention that Monday, Tuesday, and into Wednesday, you're going to probably see sideways type inside action due to CPI being the real news driver for the week. So having that news driver for the week being Wednesday, I would anticipate this to not get too directional unless really, really key levels start to break, and then it's just a technical breakdown or failure or whatever. But I did want to see cleaning up of overnight levels either on the high end or the bottom end. NVIDIA is using that upper band of that wedging pattern there. You could see here 107.71 still acting as a sell side pressure area. If we could rotate down to the bottom end of this channel, then potentially maybe we get NQ to rotate to the overnight lows one more time, close enough to where we can get involved to the long side trap. Maybe they break, come into close to 107 and then rotate this back out. So that would be a nice move. Otherwise, once, twice, three times touching this, a break above 107.80 probably squeezes NVIDIA up. But I'm just sitting and watching. It's 9:05, so we don't have any. We have no restrictions on our trading at the moment. Back over the hourly close. That 30-minute candle, that hourly closed on that right at 544, just below it, and now you're rotating back above it for this candle. So interesting that 544 just could have been my key level to play, and I didn't execute on it. And there it is, right? 544, I mentioned you sweep it once, you come back down, you trap some shorts through it. 544.75 right there, key level once again, and I have not executed on it at all. But there's that break push. If you read the write-up, now you have 544, you're up 60 points. So two times here, you could have caught 100 points to the downside, 60 points to the upside at least currently. Now that we've broken through on NVIDIA breakthrough 107.70. Rotating up to that 108.50 mark. 108.50 breaks up into 111.09 is the ultimate high, I think, for today. However, we do have resistance at 109. So 109 could act as some sort of resistance there. If we don't get through 108.50, then who knows? But once again, never got to my level. Inside so far today. Have not tagged the overnight high. Have not tagged any previous day level. We got very close to the previous day high. Just didn't quite hit it. And I wasn't able to take the short from that. We never made it to the overnight low. Although I did talk about, since the S&Ps were at the overnight low here, you could have taken this long right there in anticipation for that 44 level breaking right here, right? 44 broke right there again, right? You sweep it, kind of trap it, and now you rotate out. If you wanted to front run levels, I did mention these levels are good. I just am waiting for my A plus, and I didn't get there, right? Sometimes you just don't get to your level and you can't execute, can't get FOMO and just start hammering into things. I do like that we're able to see this kind of analysis and work through it, kind of thought process wise on what I think could happen to get this going to that direction. I do think that maybe a retest into this range here and then starts to rotate back down potentially as well. I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I do know that everything that we're seeing is, we talked about it, every little bit of it through the entire analysis. So hopefully somebody took some trades if you guys have that as your plan. If not, if you don't have the plan to execute certain things that I'm kind of walking you through, then good on you for sitting on your hands and being patient. I do preach the patience and not doing dumb shit, right? Don't do dumb shit, right? Today, diddling in the middle of the areas, to me is doing dumb shit for my personal strategy. Yes, a lot of times I do use my key levels that are longer term for entry, and I could have potentially done that today here on that first time and the second time, right? I was talking about how you could have trailed this out, got 20 points out of it there. And then this one, if you did break, you could rotate to VWAP, and who knows, could have used it on the S&Ps and been just fine. I just did not execute on the S&Ps. I got to start doing that as I talk through it. Just to me personally, I just didn't. So now we're at 109 in the NVIDIA trade there. So retesting opening range low. S&Ps opening range, I didn't draw it up, is right here. All right, so the strategy works. It works on S&Ps. It works on NQ. It works out all around. So if you do have that, thought process in your playbook to kind of execute there, then, it was there. It was there for you right here. The more I talked about that 44 level, the more I wanted to take it, but the more I got to stick to my discipline and just, not be crazy on these levels, although I can start to see some of these front runs working pretty well. Maybe I'll switch down to micros as the week progresses and just start hitting some of these key levels as I see them. But sticking to my normal strategy usually keeps me solvent for longer, gets me payouts, right? All these things. But if we're going to start front running levels, then I might need to start just making minor adjustments to be able to capture some of these moves, because this is clear as day to me, right? With that divergence, everything here kind of told me we're going to support this lower band of VWAP. We're at 544. If this fails, you start to rotate up aggressive buyers. I didn't see big size on the book down lower, so that was another thing, not dragging us downside. Really a good analysis, everything about it. We talked about how everything should play out from there, and because of NVIDIA looking like that, right? I said if we break above 107.74, then 109 and then beyond to 111 still is possible. But 109 is that resistance level from Thursday or Wednesday of last week, pre-market. So you do have a lot of overhead here as far as resistance is concerned. But like I said, up until 111 could be possible if it wants to continue on. If this is going to do the same thing and rotate down off of here, then who knows where we end up with our NQ. S&P is still trying to push up to that opening range, so we'll see if we get a retest of the opening range for the S&Ps, and we can get that sell side from our overnight highs. Maybe we get like a trap of the overnight levels. 700 still interesting to me. I think that could be a failure area. A fully rotational type day does make a lot of sense to me. I am not going to execute around this low here, but a lot of times you do have that break, retest, rotate back to the downside. But if it does that and we sweep the overnight low, then potentially that could give you the thought of we're going to go even lower. Anybody seeing anything that they want to take? Anybody has taken any trades? Let me know. Make comments in the Tradecaster on YouTube. If you're over on YouTube, hit the like button. Help the algorithm. Subscribe, all that fun stuff. We go through this analysis every single day, time and time again. I think for the most part, right, we're doing a really good job of kind of explaining everything that I'm seeing. There's a 40 lot at 650 that could drag you upside a little bit further. You are getting that wedging type deal here on the S&P, so be cautious with that, right? Into some resistance. So we get over this resistance, then you could push up over 53.74 into the highs, into that 53.80. Overall, like I said, I haven't executed, but I am pretty satisfied with my analysis on price action and kind of just observing, breaking down what I'm seeing, and then watching it happen. These are very clean moves. Could have made pretty decent money on both ends, right? 100 points down, 100 points back up without much heat on either of them. Now, if we do get the failure of the overnight high, do we get it to be reactive? Is it going to be explosive? Or is it going to be a push over 700 and then when we just continue to go straight up? My thought on that is if it goes straight up and continues to keep going, that CPI number could initiate a seller, which is concerning, right? The week of the previous CPI, we stepped up into it. Monday was flat and inside. Tuesday started to catch a bid. Wednesday was flat until the CPI number, and we pumped and sold off. Oy. That was a beautiful, beautiful long off of 544. I'm going to start doing some of those. Maybe if that key level is going to be able to do it. Like I said, maybe I'll take it on half size if I have to and start to capitalize on those analyses because I think that was pretty good, to be honest. 110 is the high of the day here so far in NVIDIA. I think if NVIDIA can get to that 111 and reject it, we can push us up into 700, and then that gives us the opportunity to start to sell. Microsoft is still on its lows. Meta still kind of just dancing around with those levels. Google, Tesla, everything kind of pushing. Anybody take any of those trades? I have a good feel for what I can see in the markets. It's really kind of one thing that I've always, prided myself on was being able to kind of really give a good understanding of what I can see and kind of articulate it through without like super technical terms, right? And understanding the true dynamics of the market in a way that only just comes with watching it and kind of making observations and doing all that stuff, right? This first break of the previous day high, I don't think is going to be the failure. I think we're going to wait for the overnight high, sweep at 700 because S&P still hasn't got to opening range. I think, and also we want to wait for NVIDIA to get closer to 111.09. But that's really what I want to see is the 700 level get capitulatory, trap some longs, get everybody thinking that this is going to continue to go higher. Get up to the upper band of VWAP even. That'd be nice, 705. But right now it's strong, right? It broke high of the day. Need this to set up now, right? You saw the setup here. Made a high, swept it. Maybe we get a little bit of a pullback here. We make that new level, that secondary push to the high side, right? If we just fail this previous day high now, S&P's never caught up there, so it didn't even get to the opening range. I mean, it ticked it, I guess 53.80 ticked, and then it sold a little bit. But I want to see something along these lines here, up here at the overnight high. NVIDIA is selling from 110. There is a lot of resistance there at 110. 110.25. 110.39. Yeah, so it's an area where it should have had some resistance. I like this pullback to start us out. I want to see this push up again. If we can't ever get to that overnight high, I will consider shorting the previous day high, but it has to tell me that it wants to short it. It is a retest. Look at this breakdown retest of that kind of support all night, right? Bounce, 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 breakdown, retest. If you wanted to kind of stop out some of that retest, you do have a lot of those stops right here. Could run them and then short that from the 700 level. That's why I want to see that 700 get it. If this is just going to be get it and rotate off of it, like, right, that immediate one candle, that's also just not an A+ setup for me, right? You could see that we're going to try and rotate back up over it again. This next time could give you that stronger push, right, over the opening range, over the previous day high, should give you that next little leg up. 63% long, healthy longs. There is a order sitting at 690, a 95 lot. 690 has about 100 lots. 690, 100 lots right here. That could give us that magnet, that pull, and then that failed breakout. It could initiate a true breakout through the overnight high and never come back to it. But I think that we do get dragged to 90 with that size. Here's that size. Here we go. Right there. You see that big red line? 690. And on the top, very top left corner, you see that 95 number. And it's not moving. It's just sitting there. It's ready to go. If I zoom in, you could see it. Still there. 95 still sitting there. So 95 at 95. Some people there is definitely orders up there front running it a little bit, so I maybe don't get there. But I think we do get to it. It dissipated a little bit. No, it's gone now. No, it moved up to 700, it looks like. Come on, give me that 700. Yeah, there's size pushing up at 600, 700. So let's see. Let's see if we get 700 filled. If it gets to 700 and explodes out up to 720, is still considered a failed breakout to me, because then it could rotate right back down through 700 and then give us that full opportunity on a melt. But this is really rejecting that previous day high. Doesn't want to accept above it. I think it does. I think we do, since we have that larger order there, it wants to magnetize to it. Are people front running it? That's the question. NVIDIA just double topped slightly closer to that 25, that 110.25, 110.30 level. Maybe give me that one more push up, trap those longs. Come on, baby. Get me up over that overnight high, trap these longs, get a really bullish push, and then let's short that bitch. Get S&Ps to get into that opening range and then fail that opening range again, and we can rotate that back down. There's the push. Do we have that size? 700 has 60 lots up there. So let's watch the time and sales for when 700 gets closer. That's the exact kind of setup that I wanted to see, right? Push down, give you a nice break above. Do we have a delta divergence? Yes, we do. You could see delta. Well, now it's trying to push up stronger. So there's the push up to 89. We didn't quite get to 90. If we fail the previous day high, could give us that sell push, right? If this fails here, then we can get that. Okay, here we go. I'm going to get the failure of 700. It's got to push 700. There we go. There's 700. Pushed it. Now, is it going to fail our level or not? If you caught that long from the bottom, don't. I would start to trail out near or get close to 700 if you can, because if it does fail 700, then the full rotation back the other direction comes into play. If not, I think you're going to be. I mean, you should be in really good shape. That's 544 to 700. That's a lot of points that you're catching right there, without a lot of heat, right? 70% long, that's good for me. Upper band of VWAP, also good. Delta starting to get aggressive a little bit. I think immediate failure of overnight highs should give me a clean move to previous day highs. I'll trail to break even and then see if I can get a full pullback to VWAP. Just based on this trying to be a rotational day. NVIDIA could get up to 111, which could push us up to 720. Big push from that. This setup was absolutely ideal, right? I don't even think you would get trailed out. Even at the VWAP, opening range low. I mean, maybe you get stopped at a previous day high. Oh, trying to hold that opening range high. 70% long, still on the tilt. Upper band of VWAP now holding. We went lower band to upper band, full rotation. You're getting heavy in the delta. Let's see if that delta accelerates us down, or if we're just going to get trapped and it's going to go long again. I'm still willing to take my chance at my level, give it a shot, see if it'll melt off through 700 if 700 gives up. But if 700 continues to hold, who knows how high this does go. That the rotation from here down through to 544, I kind of talked exactly about that. 544 to 700 should be the range that we kind of dance around with until CPI. With a break above this level, we do have to 750, and then from 750 up to 900 is really a big gap up above. 800. We'll go with 800 as the ultimate high. But S&P's trying to hold this opening range. If it can break through that opening range low, then maybe we get this thing to start to ignite to the downside. When you break a key level like this, the 700, a very key psychological level, there was size there. You would anticipate this to break and go pretty fast, right? Even though we've already kind of moved quite a bit from the low of the day, you would kind of anticipate this to kind of squeeze out. And that's why I want to say failed breakouts would be my ideal here. I'm going to keep this stop entry below 90, because if we do get below here and just tick in and then run out, I don't want to get just run over in this bullish behavior. But if we can get this to kind of come through 700, maybe push into that 95, then pop 700 one more time before rotating back down, that'd be nice. But it is holding 700. 703 has still got some bids filled. Price trying to make new highs. Delta still holding lower. There is size at 720. Not huge, but it's enough to show on the book as red. It's 40, 50, 60 lots there at 720. Two of them. And it flashes and disappears. So it looks like maybe it wants to drag people up there. But you can see Delta acting as a little bit heavy. Price trying to push up. Delta down lower. So not as many aggressive buyers stepping in here at these highs. 720 could get filled. Like I said, 720 is a good area of interest. If we can get this previous day high tagged in the S&Ps, maybe that gives us the ignition to the downside. 111.09, very close, very, very close here for NVIDIA, right? That's a selling location for NVIDIA. Failure of 18,700 leads to heavy selling. I don't think that hold, if it does hold, then we should never kind of come as deep as the overnight high to kind of keep going up higher. So let's see what happens. If it's going to keep going straight up, it's going to keep going straight up. And once again, I just don't have that play in my book currently. It's there. We could talk about it, understanding each direction and understanding how price moves and behaves. with the NVIDIA not making it through 111.06 with some of these other names kind of being heavy. Let's see what Microsoft's doing. Microsoft pushed up over 106.20. If it can fail it, then helps us out some as well. Meta was heavy before. It's still kind of heavy. Amazon pushed up over 168. Looking like it wants to hold up over there for now. Tesla is heavier also. NVIDIA, if NVIDIA starts to sell, I think that really will help us out here. Maybe down to VWAP. I want 700 to give up, right? You can see that. You see that 85 level fail. We're still staying inside yesterday's range, Friday's range. Oh. This is where I get this going. If you like these call outs on YouTube, hit the like button. If you're in the Tradecaster lobby, hopefully you're making some money on some of these complete clear as day moves. I am sticking to my strategy. So if we can get this to fail 700, you would think that we get a heavy seller to come in here from 700. Does it drag it down? Does it give us at least, that immediate from overnight high to previous day high? I could get to even. You would expect this to be more of like a gap that gets filled kind of quickly here. And then if you can get that seller to kind of keep going through 74, through that over previous day high, re-accept back in, get you to VWAP, and then who knows from there where you end up, right? It's going to be, we cleaned up the overnight high. Now will we clean up the overnight low? That's my thoughts on this. We're approaching 700 again. Does 700 hold or does it give up? I want to see 700 give up with maybe some size here on the time and sales. I like this starting to work. If it does just trap me and get me involved and sweep back up over 700, then it is what it is. I can only do what I can with my setups. You are starting to see that type of pattern forming again here. A lot of what I like to see is this happening around our key level. So that is good. It does leave a little bit of a gap here. Which does get me trapped sometimes. But if you get that hard sell through this wedge, right? You get that initial sell like we saw here. You get that initial big pop, and then you get it again. So maybe we do that here. There's the break of 7, pushing into the overnight high. Maybe it pops back over 7 if we don't get this. If we do get it and it starts to melt off, we'll get triggered in. There we're triggered in, and the stop is just at 700. So I bet you it ticks me out and rotates up. So we'll go just over 700 on it. Let's see if we could get this to fail. There it is, pushing up into 700. Like I said, I didn't want to get bottom ticked into this, but it looks like it wants to bottom tick me in and push up to 7. I talked about front running it. It probably should have. Kind of gets me trapped sometimes, but we do get the nice move again to that overnight high. Hopefully it doesn't come back to 700. If it does, then we're out. But I have to execute that every time. Come on down. You got to be kidding me on that one. It's super annoying. I'll take it again if it does want to give up for me. But I did mention, right, selling through that level gets me in trouble sometimes. You'll get that touch of 700 again, get wicked out. I should be able to get triggered in, and if it does want to fail it and then get me involved for a heavier push to the downside, that'd be ideal. NVIDIA is selling some, kind of finding support at 110. For that to be a loss there, kind of frustrating to me. We are heavy again. If it's going to go back over 700, then we're going to be out again and we'll be done for the day. The rest of the week we'll switch down to micros and try and work that. But let's see if we can get this to get heavy through here. This is the strategy, right? And I'm out. I'm failed. All right, we're going to stop there and lock out. We are down 4 and change. Unfortunately, like I said, 2 times did not catch the moves that I wanted to catch. And now we're into my personal, 2 loss limit there. not letting it kind of give its time to break down. This pattern right here, the front run of it, hopefully somebody was able to catch that front run idea through 700. That's usually my go-to there. Oh, just 3 back-to-back-to-back days of wicking myself out and probably getting the move I want to get after the fact. So let's go to the copy trader here. We'll get rid of these combines off of here. Bop, bop, save. All right. We are now in micro land for the guys. Where's that one? 49, 650. Nope, not this one. I need this one. 49.56. Yeah. So I can take it still on here. Let's see if we can take this combine and see if we can get this from red to green. The front run of this, short 700. See if I can front run it on the combine. I am locked out personally on the XFAs. Not quite getting what I wanted to see out of it. Like I said, I got trapped into here. A lot of times if this is going to go, it goes fast and I'm able to catch my move. Today it was not the case. So unfortunately I got stopped. Yeah, let's see if we can catch it through here on the combine though. Frustrating. So frustrating. There's that setup. Maybe potentially get that push up higher again. Everything was lined up. You had the delta divergence. You had everything lined up. Same sort of setup that we had down here. A little bit more. Like I said, could have been aggressive on it. Front ran it. Gave ourselves 10 points to kind of work with. But then still, we would have been stopped out at even. If 700 gives up, we'll get that short, but I don't know if we're going to give it up right now. Maybe we wait for the S&Ps to get over the overnight high, get back to 111 on NVIDIA. Oh, man. This beautiful move here. Should have front ran that 544. That's kind of frustrating there. This as well is kind of just, I bet you it's just, I'm a little early on it. Probably should have waited for this test. I talked through how that was going to trap me and why I wanted to be below 89, below 90. It ticked me in to bottom tick me out 2 times. So good on me to get bottom ticked twice on failed breaks. Doing my best to try and not do dumb shit, stick to my strategy, and some of what I have done here is kind of talk through really good trades, not execute them, and then execute on my good strategy, but then just get stopped on it. So that's kind of frustrating, seeing things that normally don't work, then your strategy that works a lot of the time for a few days in a row now has been kind of killing me on what I've been doing. So just like I said, just a little frustrating based on the way I've been trading, how disciplined I've been to my levels, how disciplined I've been doing as far as days are concerned, just not executing on days where I don't feel like markets are going to do what I think. And, it still runs you over, still does stupid things. So you just got to kind of go and roll with the punches. Sometimes you're just not going to get what you want to see. At the end of the day, maybe need to, now obviously I do, not that I need to scale down a little bit moving forward the rest of the week and try and catch these same moves moving forward the next few days. Switch down to micros if you have only a few $100 left. Sometimes you're going to go through periods of where you have extended, losers on your setup, and some other setups start to present themselves, right? I saw this idea here playing out, could have executed it, didn't, right? Talked about this breakdown here, could have executed it, didn't. Lower probability for me on those ideas. So maybe potentially, like I said, scale down, throw some micros at it, take my money and run and start to build some winners before doing more damage to the account. Since I don't know, as far as the performance is going, it's like I take a payout and then it's immediately like I waited for these days, could have made some money on these days, didn't. Took off that day because of the crazy volatility that was going on, and it's just back-to-back losers. And Friday I executed a couple ideas, basically break even, and then again just the strategy never quite set up, and then when it did, I got myself stopped out. So it's, you see three in a row, 3 days, basically 4 days in a row of just not quite getting what I want out of what I'm doing. So personally, could be doing a lot better on some of these entries. Buying the dip, I did kind of mention that the bulls would step in with that extreme fear. I didn't think that we would, once we rotated off 544, the failure of this overnight high should have told me a little bit more. I expected it to be rotational today, trying to get this move to be more of, if we fail this down the previous day high, should have came in quickly for my probabilities, which it didn't. So now we're kind of just waiting to see what we can get on a combine, see if we can recover some combine moves, and then work from there. $7.10. There's a high volume node at $7.10. Could rotate through there. There is a buyer or an ask up there at $7.40. 35 contracts up at $7.40. So could go back to it again potentially. See if S&P's fails that previous day high. See if we can come back down through it. Nvidia is heavy. Like everything lined up for this to be the trade. And now you can see we trapped up longer again. Max pain ideas, I guess, kind of going. 700 up to 750 is what I talked about. So potentially 750 comes in. If not, then like I said, the rotation through 700 probably does induce selling. And we were just early on the idea. Nvidia looking to get heavy. I'm going to sell it based on Nvidia. Based on Nvidia through 710. Front run the strategy on the combine. See if front running it helps me today. Get some combine money back. The XFAs have just been taking hit after hit after hit, unfortunately. And I didn't do dumb shit. I just did what I normally do, day in and day out. So sometimes that happens. Took my payout and then allowed my account to just get hit a few times. It seems to be my go-to move with some of these XFA payouts. Damn, man. I wanted that long from that low. If it just wanted to give me that overnight low, it would have been up pretty nice because you could have trailed this without any issue all the way to VWAP, without any problems, 515, 600, hundreds of points. And now I'm stopped and out. So I can see that, Scrooge. Sometimes you go through losing streaks and it hurts, definitely. I could see that those numbers, they're not outrageous. You're doing a really good job of limiting losses on days, right? It's just 11 trades on that $91 day. I don't know if you were up at all during that day. That could have been a little bit less. And then today, 6 trades, decent amount of trades there. Otherwise, I did see a couple good opportunities early. Me sticking to my strict strategy rules. I did not. I didn't execute on the good call outs, and I executed on my setup here, and I got that ticked in and ticked out, and off to the upside it goes. You're going to have to go through these things, Scrooge, unfortunately. Drawdown periods do happen. What is this? Policy updates. It's sad that I didn't get that entry. I mean, I have a $500 loss limit. I got $50 to work with. I could switch down to micros and still trade this. Let's see what happens here. MNQ, 50 bucks on that. Let's see if we can fail this on a micro. One micro here. So let's see if this micro works on that fail to that level there. I'll add micros. I am short from this level on one micro. See if I can front run the level a little bit. The XFA. I want to see if the S&Ps will hold this overnight high. If it can hold the overnight high and NVIDIA continues to sell down a little bit further, we could get this to start to push further and heavier. Like you said, 70% tilty. Delta divergence still holding below that VWAP band. Hopefully we can get down through 700 again. Drag us down that direction. Down through 720. You know, not bad idea there. If it starts to bid up again, I'll probably hammer out above 40. Yeah. Give me 2 chances of this on the micro. Let's see what we get going here. If we can get, maybe a win back, we can possibly get ourselves into back from red to green from the doldrums. I'm even on that micro, so that's good. See if we can get down through 700. We'll take that out. See if this micro net us something good. I'm going to add a micro below 700 because if it fails 700, I think we could get more sellers to come in. There's that breakdown of the overnight high in the S&Ps right into the opening range high. Let's see if we can get through 700. Didn't realize I had a micro, so that's always good. It's got to get through 700 for me to add another one, and then I'm going to take one down at VWAP. Well, I'll take them both at VWAP, potentially. Want to get to the low of the day. Limit buy here. It's probably going to rotate off of that opening range high here for the S&Ps, which is going to push us up on the NQ, which probably stops us out. But at least we'll get, we still have a chance to re-enter that. Oh, look at that. Hotkeys are coming. That's always good. All right. We took $8 off that trade there. There's the failure of that level. See if the S&Ps will break back above the overnight high or not. I am playing the micros now. Switch down to that low. Have a lot more wiggle room with the micro to work my way back to even. Switching to the small guys. Allow myself opportunities to catch my moves here. NVIDIA is giving me some selling from 110. Let's see if that helps. I'm going to turn the fan on real quick. Give me a minute. Yeah. See if we can build back better with micros. NVIDIA looking like it's kind of bull flagging up here. If it breaks through 110, could push up to 111 again. But I say the previous day high was 674 and the overnight high was what? Go off the NQ levels. 692. Checking on the tilt. Delta, strong buyers kind of pushing in here. I don't see huge orders. 30 something lots down below. Up top overhead we have a 55 lot at 750. So 750, there's a 55 lot. See if it pushes back to that level. Do have strong delta now trying to push us up that direction. So see if that continues on. Russell still holding well below the opening range low. S&P is over the opening range high as well as the NQ. So see if we can pop this again, get back over that. Is this more down this range now for that hold? Down below 710. Give you that opportunity. As I said, 750 was my overhead area of interest as well before we do kind of continue on further. It's 9:49, about 5 more minutes till I can't execute another trade here. So let's see if we can get involved and rotate this off that 50. Can we sweep up there, get up to the 50, and then rotate back down through 38s here, 40s. Excuse me. That 50 level, 62 even. 62 is a good level. That was the high from 2 Fridays ago. Looking at that. See if we can build ourselves out of this a little bit. Oh, there's that pop back up. We didn't get to that 50 level yet. I gotta... this trade. Gonna get stopped at 30 bucks. Give myself another chance for a short when that 10 o'clock number comes. I'm gonna wait till 10 and then I'll try my short one more time. See if I can get it. Still got 40 bucks to work with for the day. I'm gonna give myself these micro chances. Now moving forward for the rest of the week, probably gonna have to stick with micros to build this account back up. I want to see this thing pop, but now I'm going to wait till that 10, see if 10 o'clock will give us more of a number. If I can get this thing to rotate back down through these levels, it'd be very nice. It'd be helpful. Maybe, like I said, get up there, up into that 50s, fail this high level here, fail that level, rotate back, give us the fail breakdown. Then potentially this is that overnight high. Look for that overnight high to break, fail that, rotate down even further. There it is, break of 20. S&Ps is getting a little heavier through that level this time. Looking like it doesn't want, it's more of like a solid candle there. Better fills. You're getting delta that's not quite following through the upside. Also not going downside. You're getting this wedging type pattern here. Patterns help. They're not perfect, but the tightening of price action is useful to note. You can see aggressive buyers stepped in here right at that 720-ish, 717. Consumer inflation expectations at 10. Let's see if that'll help us at all on our idea here. 5 minutes till the hourly close. Allow this candle, this 30-minute, this hourly candle to give you some indication of if it wants to reject the 700 level or not. Just let the market tell you what it wants to do. You can see how this is a wedging pattern type of tightening here, right? So a break out of this, just like we saw over here where I got trapped in and trapped out above that 700 number, kind of really did not act conducive to my price action, but it did help that immediate sell, like that give up, right? So you can take those shorts from these levels or those breakouts the other way and kind of be confident in at least it moving in your direction quick, being able to mitigate your loss and then kind of rotate out of it. Still, for us, trade-wise, not our best day today. Not like I'm overdoing it or anything like that. Just I waited for this level to finally break, which we ended up getting. This level down here, that 544 level, I talked about it over and over and over again. I didn't execute 44 because the overnight low was all the way down here at that 515, and I wanted to see 515 get tagged before I got anything. And it just never got to my level, so I never entered it. But we talked about how clean of a move it was probably going to be there, and the breakdown of that opening range, right? That's two things that I kind of wanted to see. There it is, moving downside a little bit, breaking that trend. Could push into 700. Does that hourly candle not hold 700? Does 700 give up? If so, then does our overnight high give up? And then we could safely try and play that breakdown. Let's see what we got going on. Nothing for me at the moment. Waiting for that hourly close. I do have this down here just in case that hourly close, that whatever that number comes out, just initiates a seller. I would like to get triggered in, try and take this out maybe at 51, take one out there, and then let that rest of that winner play out with the micro. Try and buy myself another trade for the day, for the last hour that we're in here. Hopefully there's people headed over to the combine, the boot camp going on now. Deck teaching. Let this 10 o'clock number tag off on us here. Let's see if we can get some good manipulation up over that 38, up over 40, maybe into 50. You can see this kind of pushing on up. Let's see if we can get up. I would like to see it up there. There's a bigger size here at 100 lots at 32. So if 32 cracks, watch to see what happens there. 32, there was 100 lots. Pretty much looks like it got filled. You can see it right there, all 100 right on the tape. Pretty big size. If it fails, then I would anticipate this to sell kind of quickly. If it's going to continue to push, watch for those bigger sizes up above. It didn't. It's there again at 30, at 25. There's a size at 13, 59. It looks like it wants to get dragged down. I think people are looking for this number to give it a sell side push. Thank you. Ah, yes, the water. 10 o'clock coming here in 9 seconds. There's 13. There's a 58 lot at 13. I want to short that there. I want to get that heavy. I don't know what that number came out at, but it doesn't really matter. It's not a huge number. Nvidia is still selling, and this market's just holding on up. Thank you. You all right?
No.
Gotcha. We got about an hour left in the stream here. Just still not quite playing along with what we want to see. Very choppy, very sideways here up at the highs. You know, it does give me the idea that this does want to give up. You know, lack of follow through to the upside to me tells me a little bit about what we're seeing. Right? We do have some that here's an 80 lot down here at 13. So I'm gonna try and short one here. Oh, I didn't want to do that. Fuck. Oh well. I'm taking that loss there. I didn't want that to market in. I wanted to stop in. Stupid ass. Sometimes that happens. So when you make dumb mistakes is when you do things a little bit irrational. Did not want to take that stupid loss there. It was $8, so it's not like a huge loss. Or $15, whatever. It's nothing crazy, but it's still, we're only able to lose $20 here on these accounts. So Nvidia looking like it wants to catch a bid up over 110. If it does catch a bid over 110, this market is going to continue straight on up. 3% on that consumer confidence number. Nothing, a big nothing burger. That to me looks like a failed break. There was size at 13. There's still size at 34. I would anticipate this to kind of rotate right back down. Big time delta candle. Price didn't follow through quite as heavy as that delta did. So, you can risk to the high of the day on that breakout. Let's see what happens. This is the miss here, right? I talked about you had 100 points either direction on both these trades. Those are the opportunities I talked you through. If you were on stream early, you saw how this was setting up. Everything kind of talked about how we wanted to see this play out. This one played out pretty clean, and then this one here also from that 44 level rotated right off of it, and I just didn't take the long off the 44. I did mention bullish bearish line in the sand 18,544. If you read the write-up, you will note that 18,544 level is the key level that I wanted to see manipulated with or used as support or resistance. If anything over it is going to be bullish, anything below it's going to be bearish. I got to stick to that plan because honestly, that was a perfect bounce off that level. There was really not anything that should told me otherwise. The only thing is that overnight low, we never touched it. We touched it on the S&Ps right here, but we never touched it on the NQ, right? NQ, I'll go over to it now quick. You can see right there, I talked about it. I threw that arrow up there when that made sense. I talked about taking the long with the S&Ps as a vehicle for that trade, and I just didn't do it. Didn't pull the trigger. So, that's just on me for not doing it. I have $20 left in the trading day that I can potentially work with, and I'm going to be trading micros and see if I can dig myself out a little bit here and there. I'm going to allow this to be the failed breakout there at 50. If 50 is going to be the number, then we'll get down below 40. I want to see that thing rotate through here, break down, and then if it gets through 20, I'll add 1, and then I'll start to look and see if we can get the breakdown of that overnight high. See if this is going to be a rotational day. That's my thought on this breakout here. Overall, I don't think I've made mistakes on this trading day. I mean, I just stuck to my rules so stringently that kind of maybe stubbornly got myself to a point where I could have made a lot of money on other trades. And that's just me kind of noting those things for my playbook moving forward. I've kind of noted it the last 2 weeks, like all of last week and this week, of kind of certain things that I could change, that'll tweak it a little bit for the current market conditions. That's all I really want to be able to do is the current market condition behaviors. It's becoming a lot cleaner with a lot of these moves on technical patterns, on, not necessarily to my level. If I can front run my levels a little bit, if I see price action not getting to the level and not allowing me in. And then up here, just kind of, I had a little bit of pause on that first break. Obviously didn't, that's why I don't limit in. This one, I tried to set low enough where if the stop was coming in, it was confirmed. Obviously, I got bottom ticked twice and rotated out above 700. Got to wait for that hold to kind of, that second entry, probably should have waited a second, but realistically, once you fail 700 a second time, you would anticipate that to come back down and get heavy through our level based on the strategy. Like I said, overall, I don't think I did anything dumb except for that one click in here where I lost myself $10, $15. But that was just, I canceled that out manually, so that's fine. I'm looking to see if I could do this with the micros, get myself involved in this. NVIDIA looking like it wants to get back down below 110. If it can, should trigger this in. Like I said, I'm going to try it with the micro, and if it gets me in and gets me below 20s, I could get both on, and then that'll have me with 2 micros on, potentially rotate to VWAP. 70% long, which is good. Delta, not really being aggressive to the sell side. Still holding that upper band of VWAP. One of these sells will come into play and work out, and if not, then so be it, right? You're going to go through times, periods of drawdown and understanding that those things are going to stop working perfectly and you're going to have to make little adjustments. And I think we're kind of at that point where adjustments need to be made. I still think that there is size below here that wants to get filled. There's one right above here as well. A limit order just probably popped on the book at 44, so maybe somebody trying to get short at 44. Some size. Let's see if they get filled. See if we get filled on this short idea. Micros I can kind of work my way through. If that's going to bottom tick me, I'm going to be kind of annoyed. I don't have $50 to work with. I have $20 to work with. So probably somewhere around that 50 mark. If it bounces back up there, then we'll be done for the day. But I wanted to see if we can, yep, there we go. We're done for the day on these. Flatten all, locked out on that account, locked out on this account. Great. Back to the combine. All right. With the combine, I'll go back to full contracts because my combines I try to be a little bit more aggressive with. Once again, overall, I think realistically the trade idea is there, just not perfect execution, and it is what it is. Gonna try and get this stop sell to get involved, but like I said, we're gonna get TopStep X has a built-in copy trader, so you can use it for your copying. So I copied across two accounts. I was copying the combines, but now I flipped them off so I can execute on the combines and try and build back up a little bit on these individually. Yeah, I think so too. I think we are in store for something that's bigger, something around here. I got myself involved in my A+ strategy. I missed out. Talked about these trades here. I mean, I talked about this failure of the opening range. I'm not going to take it, but look at how clean that move was. This here as well. We were looking at that 44 level. Talked about it. Never got to my overnight low. Probably would have been, clearly would have been just fine taking this front run, the level, because it's a key strong level. And then when I wait for my strategy to come play out later on in the session, I have to note that for myself that a little later in the session, it's going to be not as reactive immediately, right? We wanted to see this happen up here at the overnight high. I never got it, or even at the previous day high, never got able to trigger in on my short to open the day, even though I knew that these moves happen quickly on Mondays. That's on me for, whatever I did. I stuck to my strategy. Just because I am drawn down doesn't mean that I'm not doing what I want to do. It's not ideal to go through a period of losers, but at the end of the day, it's going to happen. You're going to have it. So just allowing that mentality to kind of stick to it. And now with the combines, I get to work on a little bit more aggressive things, try and play these breakdowns, try and play some more of these levels in order to get myself more funding, right? That's one thing, but also allow me to work on some other strategy stuff that could play out in the future for me, and maybe I could execute on those moves when it's time, right? So, I'm not too concerned about my abilities. I'm actually pretty pleased with my discipline of not executing away from levels. Unfortunately, today the levels did not work. They never came into play. The analysis was spot on. That's the only thing that I'm disappointed with, is being able to talk about it, call it out, see what's going on, and not capitalize on it is disappointing to me, right? I need to make that adjustment. I can add these to my playbook now. I think realistically, we are going to be trading micros until we build our XFA buffer back up after taking a few losing days in a row. The discipline is there. It's not the discipline. It's now allowing the strategy percentages to work out. max loser for me. This is why I set my personal daily loss limit to 500, because on days like today and days like that, you don't want to keep hammering into these buttons. We just got some size filled at 62. Just to note, it's going to take more than just a few days in a row of me doing this to lose out on my accounts and be out, right? And I can always earn new funding, get more payouts, and keep the cycle going. That's kind of the real good benefit of the funding companies over personal capital, right? Is you can leverage the funding company, build up your buffers, take your payouts. Sometimes you go through drawdown periods, you have to regain more funding, and you just kind of keep that cycle going. As long as you could take more payouts than you do paying for combines, it's kind of the cost of doing business. That's a good idea, Abby. I don't hate that short from the high there. I think NVIDIA is not really having a good time trying to break above 110.50. I did mention, I think today is rotational. I think range-bound ideas come into play. You do have that divergence in delta. The only concern, I keep seeing size flash up overhead and then disappear. They're like playing with the orders around 67, 70. That's my only concern on that. If we can get through this low. The morning was beautiful. I know it's so unfortunate for me to not be able to execute those ideas. I try on Mondays to really, really be disciplined in everything and wait. There was things that I saw that I called out that really kind of showed the heaviness. And then also the bounce point was clear as day to me, right? I talked about it. So I drew this arrow here. I even said I'll probably try and execute it off of the overnight low on the S&Ps. Maybe I should have did that there. I mean, definitely, hindsight's always 20/20. Talking about it and doing it is two different things. So executions, I'm just, a little bit off on, which is fine. Just making small adjustments every single day is what I'm all about. So if this week can end green after today, I'll be happy. If I can take my account buffer back to where I want it to be, tomorrow, then it's fair game the rest of the week to continue to start leveraging back in and trading bigger. Tomorrow we're switching back, going to micros, and then working that buffer one trade at a time, right? It's not a big deal. We could size down, get our scaling. You can see S&P's trying to fail that overnight high. So Abby, your trade should still be good, still be valid. Let's see if that overnight high fails for the S&Ps. If it does, then you should be able to get this selling to continue. That double top failed break once again. I'm going to short it through 32. I think your entry was obviously much better because you're basically able to mitigate risk now, up 20 points on it from 60s. 753, yeah. Anywhere in that range where you're able to kind of be in this, control your risk a lot better to the high side there. S&Ps, NVIDIA is looking to hold below 110.50, but it is starting to approach that level once again, see if it's going to break above it or not. S&P is holding that the overnight high. That blue line there is the overnight high. If S&P holds above it, this probably continues to hold. If it doesn't, if it fails this level and starts to rotate to previous day high, we would like to see NQ catch up. But S&Ps still holding, NQ still holding, NVIDIA playing with 110.50. Could it break 110.50 and push up to 111? Definitely possible. Showing all the winners, all the losers every day here on tradecaster.com, on YouTube. I will be teaching in the boot camp on the 26th and 27th of this month. So if you have not got in yet, I will be teaching those days, teaching everything I need to know, everything you need to know about what I look at and what I look for. Get that 6-month membership or better. Use code Policing Pips and you can get yourself 10% off all your memberships if you want to join Tradecaster. It is a good time for it. At this point right now, I am locked out of the XFAs. We have drawn down to my personal loss limit. Yes, there is still room to go in those accounts. The buffer's still there. We're going to limit our risk for the rest of the week to micros, unless we catch a banger on a micro and we, magically bring our account up a couple grand on micros. That'll be an amazing day. Otherwise, we're going to just kind of slowly build that back up with the strategy at hand, understanding the price dynamics and price action. And as I talk through things, I might be a little more aggressive. We have price making higher highs and higher lows, but you see Delta making lower highs, lower lows. So the sellers are more apt to come in here, I think. Yeah, it's really how it goes, unfortunately. I think if 40 gives up, we get this to go. So I'm going to short 40 on this combine here. If this can start to get down to that previous day high, hopefully the NQ can catch up, get to at least the overnight high and down into previous day highs. See how far the selling can go. It happens. Everybody has rough patches, and I don't think this is really like a rough patch. It's just kind of an unfortunate bit of the last 2 weeks, the last week, and then into today, of just timing being slightly off, and then also just the levels being front ran by a touch, and not taking the chances of executing on those same setups, just slightly off, right? And now seeing that it continuously happening, I'm going to look for that for those ideas moving forward in the week. But I am, like I said, I'm going to switch down to micros. We're going to start to show how we can build out of a drawdown period, and not have to burn accounts to do that. Price just not wanting to give it up. It does feel like if it does give up, it's going to go pretty quickly. It is wedging here. S&Ps is still holding that opening overnight high, so not quite giving that up yet either. I mentioned 750 was probably going to be an overhead resistance, 760 overhead resistance. If that does break, then we have a lot of upside. 850, 800, 850. But thinking about the CPI number coming out and the rotational type day, the rotation that I expect is to come back down and be in that 18,600 area again. So I think 18,600 isn't out of the realm of possibility either for this kind of move, right? Coming down into VWAP on a CPI week, waiting for that number, waiting for that kind of activity to come into play is where I see that happening. So I am going to risk that 350 over that. I'm going to take the chance at this from this breakdown, see if it's going to go and get heavy on me. That VWAP is a nice target there. You saw how that price kind of dipped hard. I said 13 had a buyer at it, or had an order sitting at it. 750 has somebody sitting there at 37 lots. So potentially 750 gets touched again one more time on the breakdown. But we do have big size flashing down below. Not huge, but 30s, 40s lots. 50 has disappeared, so that's gone. Interesting that this is still holding after that kind of really strong little pop to the downside with the larger size fills there at 42. Looks like it's probably going to fail again. That was good, Abby. Good job. I mean, you did take your trade from the high 53. I'm taking it further out, trying to get confirmation on it, which is, not working out either. So S&P is still holding that overnight high. They're trying to break here, see if it'll give it up. If this 18 level gives up, we'll add one, and then we'll take one off down at that level there. There's the heaviness, finally. We'll go to even on that. I'm going to add one, then take one off at the overnight high. It wanted more. We allowed that to go. I'm going to go to even on that. Now we just let it do its thing. I'll take one off there. And now I have an break-even trade. Oh my God! I wish I had my opportunities to deploy my capital. Right? This is why I wait and wait and wait. So we take it on a combine instead. It is what it is. All right, we're going to get over that. We'll secure that much there. And that's how you do that. Beautiful move there. Went from down 490 to up 978 on that combine. So that was good. Nice little trade there. Good to see that coming based on size, time of day, lack of upside movement. Abby, you were in and you locked out. I kind of just held it, waited for that confirmation of the breakdown, and you could see clean move from the top. Unfortunate for me, like I said, these are the types of moves I need to have my XFAs for, and I don't. And it's really unfortunate for me. Like I said, 600 is probably that downside target for this to come back to. We both talked about it, so it's good, Abby, that you saw what was going on. You had a really good understanding. You just didn't trust it enough to hold it for a second, right? The timing on this was great. We did a good job on that. It's just a matter of managing your trade and everything like that. You still, you had that move. So beautiful, beautiful sell side pressure on that. I talked about if this gives up here, it's going to come heavy. It's going to come fast. Could have kept 2 on and took 1 off at VWAP and then left the rest for the runner. But who am I to be upset about catching 980 on today and, move with this one? Yep, absolutely. The bigger the account, obviously, the more you can withstand a little bit of these moves. Like I said, I was waiting for this to happen. Unfortunately, it happened all the way at 10:24, and I chopped myself up too soon on it, right? I should have waited for this to happen with the, we tried it here with the micros, and we got one more wick out, and then obviously you get that big move. Everything that I'm talking about, hell yeah, good job, Ray. Well done. Did you do that on the XFA? That was great. I mean, everything that I wanted to happen happened. I can't catch a break on my funded accounts currently. So it is what it is. Able to get that one back to green. Let's see if we can get one of these other combines back to green. 48,477. I got $400 left on this one. Let's see if we can get this one back. I could have copy traded that across all of them, but I didn't. I was anticipating it. So we talked about 3 pretty good trades here, and then obviously my good setup failed me. So we executed this here. We talked about that there, and we talked about this short here. Yeah, I think so too. Now that we're coming towards that 544 number, watch for it. Currently, I have 2 combines or 3 combines, but I have 2 funded accounts. I trade my XFAs. This is my funded account. I took a payout on it last week. So I put myself back to 2K. The last 4 trading sessions, I've drawn down my personal loss limit on these. So I copy trade across 2, and I'm running a couple combines on the background like this one right now. I am up on that one. This one I'm down a little bit. I mean, this one, so I have a couple combines here. This one's down and this one's down. 48.24. I only have $24 on that one. That one will be burned. Let's see if this one. Yeah. Thank you, JKDML. As talked about 600 being a good midpoint target for that pullback, and we ran right into that 600 and, kind of sat on it. So if you don't believe that I talked about each of these moves, go back and rewind and review. To me personally, I anticipated this kind of move to happen in this zone here after that rotation. We built back up a little bit higher than I anticipated. Didn't give myself enough bullets in the gun to be able to come back from it. But really good executions, good talk. We talked about all of this, right? And to get at least one of the combines up on the day, this one right here, on that good move, being able to catch it, and be patient enough to allow that last little bit to kind of come down and rotate out. I did add a contract below 20, took one off at the overnight high, and then I trailed out at the previous day high. You can see 600 clearly made its presence known there. That's a 120-point move for those keeping track at home. The moves are there. You can capitalize on them. I can capitalize on them. Normally, I'm able to get in a good groove and take the trades that I should be taking. I'm starting to notice a little bit more, especially with that since last Sunday's gap down, that really increased the volatility, increased some of the movements, but also has led to our levels being a little bit messed with. So front run over there, it's longer term levels now are being reactive. I talked about the 700 level needing to hold. It did not. It wedged up to a little bit higher than I anticipated. I said up to 750 we got up to 760 and started to rotate back down. I said 600. So 700 to 600, probably a good pullback for this type of inside looking day. If we rotate back up to overnight high, I may look to see if it'll play again. But right now, that was a really good move. Good execution on that. S&Ps seem to still be respecting the levels, right? You can see S&Ps respecting the overnight high, previous day high, overnight low. I need to start executing maybe on the S&Ps as opposed to those other ones, right? So these execution areas are key to note, right? Opening range breakdown. It is Monday. I anticipated an inside day based on CPI numbers coming out on Wednesday. 10:30 here. You did have the euro close here, right? Coming up. Could get a little bit of a pop, or this could have been profit taking from that, whatever it is. Overall, that's 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minute candles straight to the downside. If you just trail, either I trail structurally as far as my key levels are concerned, where I expect there to be reaction. So if you kind of held to 600 anticipating that full thing, then good. That was fantastic. Hopefully, Ray, that was on the XFAs. For me, I am just off on my timing in the XFAs, and that's what happens. But the rest of the week, we're going to go push back into micros, build those XFAs back on up, and we'll be good to go. But glad to be able to call out some of these real good moves. I just didn't allow myself the bullets in the gun, like I said, to be able to kind of dig out of this. Great job, Red. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, dude. I'm going to give you all the emojis, dog. All the emojis. Crush it. I love to see everybody else making money on some of the things that I'm talking about, because honestly, when I can't sometimes make the moves that I want to make, then I get a little, I would like to see other people's reactions to them and be able to do things on their terms and make money on their terms, right? Good job, Ray. Well done, sir. As I mentioned, rotational day, inside type day. This does not tell me that it's going to be an expansive day up until CPI Wednesday. Until then, these are the types of moves that you need to try and anticipate, try and get to. Ray did a good job of catching it and doing it. Hey, but that's fine. Who cares? If it hits your take profit, who cares? Right? That's why you have those, right? If it's so fast that it hits off on your take profit and you're done, then that's fine, right? That's the point of that, I think, for me as well, right? I have mine set to 2,000. If it's going to melt off and I can't move it, if I'm going to make $2,000 so fast that I can't touch it, I'm going to go ahead and walk away, right? That's good. So, Ray, I hope you locked out, done for the day, be done, and look to trade tomorrow and keep those wins up. I love it. I'm so proud of that ability to bring it back and make it worth your while, right? I'm going to look to do the same over and over and over again. I mean, we talk about these levels. We talk about, understanding price dynamics, understanding the type of day it's going to be and what could lead to what, right? A push up into this level, this zone without a real explosive move. without a real explosive move, you expect the rotation to come back, especially with the anticipation of today being a rotational inside type of day, right? If I didn't think that today was going to be, if I thought today would start to catch a trend and go, then, maybe this just continues to push and you don't have the chance to execute something like this. But with the way the price action acted, all the confluences giving you the thoughts of, hey, all right, NVIDIA's not getting over 110.50. I'm talking about that, right? I can't get over 110.50. It's failing. You saw Abby saw to short that 53 level because you saw this fail to break above 60 again, right? Another kind of double top in an area where there was a lot of interest in the past. So that's a good area of interest for there to be a short. I wanted to let this kind of wedge pattern fail for me. So that's why I waited till that 32-ish, whatever level I got triggered in. And then we got the melt right then and there with NVIDIA selling off from 110.50 with the S&Ps failing the overnight high. And then you start to get, I said, if this S&P fails the overnight high, you would anticipate that the NQ would want to catch up to the overnight high, rotate through previous day highs, and then see where we go, probably 600. And what do you know? We're sitting just at 600 or just above that 600 mark. So good catch for those of you who were able to hold. Good catch for those of you who capitalized on it on your XFA. Good on Abby for recognizing it. Yes, maybe you got out a little sooner than you wanted to, but at least you kind of understood the dynamics of what was going on and why you shorted it and kind of getting involved, right? Yeah, that's crazy what your target would have been. Absolutely. If you would have done that, for sure. That's why I just lock out on 1500 on my combines. But this combine I'm going to take slow. I'm going to just try and build it up for the rest of the week. For it to go red to green, this one's going to get locked out. So we lock out that combine. We'll move to the one that's drawn down a little bit here and see if we can catch another move. The 600 level. Does it want to hold? Maybe I'll get a little scalpy with this guy. This is kind of showing a little bit of a bullishness to it, like a bottoming type area for that 600 to be kind of acting there. 544 is still going to be that downside bullish, bearish line in the sand. So watch that level for me. I'm going to use the restroom and I'll be back for the last 30 minutes of stream. Hopefully you guys are understanding kind of what we saw for the day, right? And like I said, I locked this one out so we can see that I'm not going to trade that one anymore. We went from red to green on that. So be right back. Fortunately, thinking through that, right, with my micro trades, kind of, not allowing myself that wait for another, move. But you can see we tried it here and we tried it there for those micros. If we go over to MNQ over here, that move that we caught on that, I mean, I guess we could just divide it by 10. So that trade we took on this account netted us 620 and 810. So I went from down 5 to up 1,000. So basically $1,500 on that trade. Just shy of 1,500. Divide that by 10. That's 150 times 2 contracts that I would have been taking that with. So 2 contracts. You probably would have got myself very close back to even on the day with just that trade in micros, right? So understanding that there is possible, you can make good money on micros with, a couple contracts. My goal with tomorrow and moving forward for the week when I do switch over to the micros to build myself back out of this drawdown for this XFA, right? We're down to $600, which is not unmanageable, right? I'm going to switch over to micros, a third of the size. So I'm going to go to 3 micros, and we'll trade our levels and our plan. And as we build back more and more and more, then we'll start to add back into full contracts. But there's no reason to burn this account just for that reason, right? Just one step at a time, build it back, get myself back in a green streak with these XFAs. And then obviously, like I said, one day at a time. If I could pass this combine in 3 days, then I'll have another XFA to work with, and we'll start to copy trade and, do the whole thing, right? Having some backup accounts. These accounts do go drawdown. It's all right. I may start to look for some of these other levels to start working with, right? For my strategies to start playing out a bit better. A lot of times when I start working away from my levels, that's when I get myself in trouble. But also at the same time, I've noticed of late that my levels have become like hunted a little bit. I can see this being like a little bit of a bear flag type idea, right? With that kind of breakdown continuation on that heaviness. I would be cautious on the amount that we could possibly get, maybe down to 544. See if it retests the opening range and then comes back to it, because we are pretty far away on the S&Ps now from that opening range high and low. I don't see, let's see, orders above. There's a 50 lot right here at 30. Some size is kind of flashing from 30 to 32, so I would anticipate that to kind of pop into there potentially. See if that 32 level gets pushed into. I don't use a 5-minute opening range as a 1-minute opening range. I mean 1-minute opening range. This is my opening minute. I find it very reactive. This is the 1 minute. I'm on the 1 minute chart. 1 minute chart. A lot of what I see activated happens within that first minute. I don't trade it as a breakdown point or anything like that. I just use it as a reference point for kind of most of what happens in that first minute, especially on Monday, is pretty valuable as far as the information is concerned. You can see how tight price stayed to it. And then as soon as we broke down below this opening range, you got that flush. Same thing here on the 1 minute for the S&Ps. Right here, tighten into it and then just smash down. Does that include 5 minutes? Probably as well. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the opening range for 5 minutes is just slightly wider. You could use 15, you could use 5, you could use 30. Like, people use many different opening range time frames. For me personally, just on my time horizon on what I trade, usually I'm done by 11. So, being, quicker to understand some of the price levels is where I want to just understand that little bit of information pretty quickly. And most of the time, I want this to be here. I want to get up over my levels and then fail it immediately. Let's see if I can get one of these out of drawdown. 477. So testing this opening range low, going towards VWAP. If we can kind of whip into VWAP, then I can see that potentially coming in. If not, let's see if we can get another leg down here. NVIDIA's starting to push a little bit. Is it going to hold this again? You can play the timing. Like, based on the way price has been acting, do we get the actual breakdown? Let's see. Does that break us down from here? Is that good timing on it? It's a wait and see game. There's heaviness. There's 20 level. The opening range that I wanted to see tested got hit and then failed and rotated back down. That's why I timed it to that point. I would have liked to short that opening range if that was the case. This combine, I kind of just am being a little bit aggressive with it because it's in drawdown. I don't really... I don't normally play a middle of the range. Yeah, that's not going to do me much good. I don't usually play a middle of the range breakdown or anything like that. This is when I am trading some of these combines that are a little bit beat up, I do aggressive behaviors, trying to find little tweaks and stuff into my strategy. So note that this short here was the good trade of the day. This short here was a good trade. This long here was a good trade. Understanding the price action here is kind of just seeing if this is going to play out as you want it to, kind of just working with some of these combines. We'll see if this will play out one of these times through the low. Deck just finished up with day one of the the live stream of the boot camp. Fantastic. Love that it was all done. Now he's doing a lunch hour live stream, or now it's now over, actually. My bad. This is, like I said, this combine's kind of beat up. The other one is something I'm going to look to pass in the next few days. Obviously, I want to pass this one as well, but we're looking to kind of work some of these other levels. I don't like to trade middle of ranges. I don't like to trade middle of zones. I just want to see if continuation kind of happens. I mentioned that 600 was going to be a very obvious psychological level for this price to kind of just want to linger around for middle of the day, kind of an inside day, choppy, sideways. As much as this is sideways, it had some clean moves for you to be able to execute upon and work with. So just understanding that for your future reference, right? We have that opening range here. I don't see any size on the books. Everything seems to be kind of neutral right now. You do have some of the algos throwing orders out and coming back. They kind of show them and they pull them. They show them and they pull them. See if they could drag people in one direction or the other. You see this opening range holding. I think if S&Ps can get up into that opening range, then that's where that short may come into play. As of right now, this seems just like 600 wants to hold, like I said before. This combine is just kind of abused. I do abuse my combines because of my XFAs. Like I know I can pass the combines. I don't have any problem with that. Some of them I do some testing. I do a lot of, this is to me forward testing ideas, getting new strategy, getting new A+ setups, things like that for the combines, as opposed to burning it on your XFAs, right? You don't want to do that on your funded accounts. So I stick very strict to my XFA rules, and it takes testing and whatnot in the combine for me to actually start implementing it into the strategy. So really, I should have probably had some more bullets in the gun for the XFA today. Let this price get up into that 750 range before executing, but it's all right. This one, I'm going to try and take this short through 20. If the 20 level holds, then we should continue to sell off. If not, then it's going to burn this this combine out, which is fine with me. Like I said, I'm trying to work on some things here that you can see for, there it goes. 20 is holding. So this is not a good action to be pricing, to be trading here for me, right? I'm not like, I don't do middle of the range trades. That's not what I like to do. We have a little bit left on this one. It's not really going to do much good. This is the combine that now that I'm starting to build this one, I will keep it more strict with the rules, right? As I start to build up a combine to getting closer to funded, I'll take it more of my A+ setup type things. I'll start to do the good executions. Just kind of really hammer it down so I could actually get that to be a funded account and not just kind of burn it on purpose. The other two that I got today, that I traded today, were drawn down, right? And then the XFAs are drawn down a little bit. So a tough Monday. At least there is a silver lining to that execution right there. A few people in the chat were able to catch it. Ray was able to catch it. Got himself a nice little bump in his XFAs. So hopefully he can start his way towards that payout, which is going to be fantastic. I'm proud of that. Otherwise, for me, we're done for the day. I'm going to sit here till 11. If you have any questions about anything, let me know. I will be teaching that in the boot camp on the 26th and 27th of this month. So if you are thinking about it, still on the fence, there still should be a couple seats left in it. Deck taught today. You missed out on his day one, but I'm sure everything else will be fantastic. Moving forward, you'll learn a whole lot from him and everybody else that's in the boot camp. So if you are still interested, head over to the pricing tab. Use code PolicingPips. Get yourself a 6-month membership or better, and you'll be able to have access to the boot camp moving forward. That'll get you 10% off all memberships. So Policing Pips get you 10% off. Always, for now that I am using that code. Hopefully, if you catch a move like that, you can pay for a membership in one fell swoop of a trade. One click of the button, you can get yourself some pretty good moves and some good dollar amounts. But right now, like I said, I kind of got myself into trouble. Not trouble. Let's go with the combine. The XFA. No trouble. Let's go with the executions. This is the personal daily lockout. So I am looking for failed breakouts of previous levels, right? Overnight highs, previous day highs, overnight lows. I wanted to see this get up over here before taking that short. Never got it. Talked about how you probably could short through the opening range, and I'm not going to take it. That opening 1 minute range is a good trade every once in a while if you can manage your risk to the upper end. It's not a very huge, it's not a huge, it's 20 points. So if you can size down and execute to the failed breakdown here of the level, then potentially you can get yourself a nice little short there. Then I mentioned that 544. We're going to stay rotational today in the write-up. 544 still is my bullish, bearish line in the sand for the week, right? If we stay up over 544, price should move to the higher end. I said 700 would probably be the target from 544 to 700. What do you know? We never got to the overnight low. I needed to see if that was going to get flushed. It didn't. Could have front ran it. And I was talking about taking the trade on the S&Ps instead because it did get to the overnight low. And I pussied out, so I just didn't execute on it. It's my bad. Talked through that execution. It was good here. You got that long and never looked back all the way up to 700. Really probably took no heat if you wanted to trail this out candle to candle all the way up into lower end of the opening range low. You can see it got reactive and then immediately pushed right into previous day highs. I talked about not taking previous day high short because I thought that there was still room for the S&Ps to kind of continue on up, right? I wanted the S&Ps to catch up a bit, which we got. My fault in this trade was taking this here on the first attempt to break down of the overnight high. This right here, you can see my crosshairs is on this entry right there. I took that one. I got wicked out at 700 and it came back down. I re-entered because it's still valid for my thought process of a fail of 700, rotate us back down through overnight highs and get me that good flush, right? So unfortunately, those were my two trades that got me locked out. I took a couple micro trades over here and ended up making sure I locked out, right? But this was the ultimate two losers in a row, taking two shots at an A-plus setup, and it just didn't work out, right? Unfortunately, you work it out where you get to the point where S&Ps now catches up to the overnight highs. If you see the crosshairs, we pushed up into new highs here. S&Ps finally caught up and got to overnight highs here. You can see the crosshairs lining up, right? Around that 942. So coming back down in, you would anticipate the break of the overnight high coming in. And with that being said, you broke out above it here at 10 o'clock. 10 o'clock came right around here. I wouldn't have been able to execute there. You see that capitulation to the high side, start to rotate back down. And we took that short. We talked about it. Abby talked about it. She caught it from 53. I caught it from here. Understanding this breakdown from that level, talked about that short there. We caught it on that combine to take ourselves from red to green. I was mentioning that the rotation from 750 with the lack of follow through at 750, 760, there's that's where we probably were going to run into overhead resistance from 700. And if that were to give up, then we probably get the failure. And what do you know? We got that right here. So unfortunately, we took our trades at our A+ location. Today it didn't work. We're in a bit of a drawdown, so we are going to go switch over to micros starting tomorrow and build ourselves back up. Allow these trades to set up a little bit, maybe take some of these front run moves at key levels because they are still setting up to be nice setups at those key areas. So I am going to start looking for that. You can see the previous day high level came back into play here. S&P's now at that opening range low. I would maybe see if this is going to reject that overnight high again, or if it's going to continue now back that we flushed through, got those sellers involved. So just kind of watch these 30-minute candles step up. 700 will be your key level for if it's going to kind of rotate out of today, out of yesterday, and out of last night's overnight range, or if it's going to stay within and be an inside day. And I would anticipate tomorrow to be sort of inside as well. I think we get similar price action leading into our CPI number. We do get PPI tomorrow, month over month, which is going to give you a little bit of movement. I don't think it's going to be crazy compared to what we're going to get from the CPI on Wednesday. So there's money to be made the rest of the week. There's money to be made today. We did draw down in the XFAs. We made money in the combine. I think overall did a good job of being patient. I mean, that's the one takeaway from today. Patience was paramount for my strategy. Unfortunately, like I said, I just kind of pussied out on moves that I saw pretty clear as day. It's not doing dumb shit. It's just executing according to my rules and allowing things to try and play out the way that they normally do. Today, we waited and could have waited all the way until 10:20 and then had that execution, and that would have been more patience. So allowing that to line up even further is the key. Taking these two trades, nets you hundreds of points. This trade here that I talked about, short from 632 to 44. So 32 to 44, nearly 100 points there. If we can calculate that out here, that short from there to 44, if you took it to 44 only, it's $1,700 there. And then the long from 44, rotating back up to at least the opening range, another 1,800. So just single contracts, 1 and 2. If I took this, I would have locked out. So probably never would have caught this extra move, but I maybe would have took a $200 risk, and you never know. It could have been a $3,000 day on just two clean little moves before even 9:30, right? So there's opportunities here. They're presenting themselves. Allow the market to tell you what it's doing, where it's going. This move here never quite set up to be the short. I tried it with that other combine. We drew it down. It's whatever it is, it is. This whole dynamics was pretty understandable if you can kind of read through what the market was telling you at the times and trying to pick what kind of day today was. If anybody has any questions, comments, concerns, anything that they want to go over before I cut loose, I kind of have to run and take care of some supermarket stuff before I go to work. I am going to be back in here tomorrow, 8:30, as always. I'm going to stay here all day, 8:30 to 11. If you are interested in the boot camp still, you could go over, check out the pricing tab and click over, get yourself 6-month membership or better. It'll get you into the boot camp. It's not too late. It has started. I know there's very limited seats, but I think that's mainly for like the big time discounts or anything like that. My code will get you 10%. So join up. Doesn't hurt to get in a day late. We could always get the review videos moving forward. Otherwise, if nobody's got anything, like I said, it was a good day for me as far as, analysis goes. It was poor as far as outcome, right? Getting another day of drawdown, kind of frustrating. I'm going to size down tomorrow to 3 micros. And then if I could get maybe one really good win under my belt, I could possibly lead that into, a lockout or go forward and move into scaling back up on a good day. But I like these. These are the days that usually I make good money, right? On inside type of days where I can get the price to do what I wanted to do as I speak about it. Unfortunately, like I said, we were only able to take one of the combines from red to green. The XFAs I lock out at a max loss limit of 500. I'm not trying to do daily loss limits of $1,000. So I set my personal loss limit to 2 full losers on a day. Normally I'm not losing 3-4 days in a row. Obviously this period of time is a little bit different. So we're going to go ahead and push forward. Now we can build back this up, over the next 2 weeks or so and get ourselves a payout and revive these 2 XFAs and also have that combine passed and hopefully have another couple XFAs in the works. So until tomorrow, I'll be back 8:30 a.m. unless anybody's got any other questions and any analysis that they want to go over. I will kind of really quick go and see if gold is still acting bullish. Yep. So my breakdown on gold kind of played out pretty nicely. If you go over to the write-up, much of what I was talking about is that if it holds these levels, the risk-off sentiment in gold, the risk-off mentality in the markets is, with the extreme fear of flow into safe havens is likely. So any sort of breaks of key structure could lead to good long opportunities in gold. And what do you know? Level to level to level. Pretty clean move from last night's, write-up. I wrote that up right around here. So that was finished right around there. I say any break over 24.74 leads to 2,500 and pretty much right there from 24.74 to 2,500. Spot on. I think we can still get some upside up into 25.52. So just kind of keep that in mind in the back of your head with the risk off mentality, right? The contract roll gap right here, building into that level and now rotating back higher. Gold, pretty clean moves. So Abby, good job on that 25-point long catch through the 700 level. Good work. Everybody back to the drawing board tomorrow. See if we can revitalize these accounts, get ourselves back into a good groove. I'm going to switch over to micros, like I said, build back my buffer and continue on. We're still trading these 2 XFAs, and then we're going to just kind of build some other combines in the background. You're welcome, Abby. Always a pleasure having you here. It's always good to have more conversation, more questions, so I can kind of fill some of the time where I'm not executing with good education and good analysis, right? So I do my best to try and break things down. I'm glad that people were able to make some money today. Unfortunately, like I said, I drew down the XFAs. I made some money on some combines, so it's a wash. Tomorrow we come back out, we execute. You could see nice clean moves. If we start to see these setups coming again tomorrow, maybe if it comes in at 44 or 700 or whatever, I will execute around those areas and we'll make some money. Until tomorrow, I'll talk to you all later, 8:30 a.m. Peace out.